Welcome to another episode of Chats with Chantla. I'm Chantla Israel, and we have an amazing panel of voices. So we have Shantae Campbell, J.L. Brown, Courtney Jacobs, Deshaun Hash, I'm not going to tear your last name up, and Amber Spell. So for you guys just watching, you may know some of the people and some of the faces, and you may not. So this is episode 27 of Chats with Chantla. So we are nearing the end of the year, and I wanted to give us an opportunity to see how 2021 is going to look for the platform. But before we get started, because we're going to be addressing a lot of different things about business, I'm just going to go around and give everyone the opportunity to introduce themselves to the viewers. So, Shantae, I'll start with you. You want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. How are you? My name is Shantae Campbell, and I'm the president of Elevated Expectations out of Brooklyn, a youth organization.
Thank you. J.Cal?
Hi, my name is J.Cal Brown, and I'm the founder of She Is Me, which is currently based out of Maryland.
Thank you. J.Cal, but tell me a little bit about She Is Me, though. Like, a lot of people may not know what She Is Me.
So She Is Me is a community of women to help other women overcome and achieve adversity. A lot of us may think that we're struggling by ourselves. There's other women going through the same things that you have went through and they've overcome. And so I just wanted to create a safe place for women to come to and, get that assistance that they need.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, Courtney, we're going to pass it over to you.
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Courtney Jacobs. I'm the founder of Courtney Wellness Companion Wellness Company, and just really blessed to be a part of this beautiful panel of folks here.
Thanks, Courtney. Deshaun?
My name is Deshaun. I'm the owner and creator of Reflections, former founder of Club Reflections, soulful restaurant. I'm just happy to be here with the panel of people that I'm here with.
Thank you. Jonas?
Hello, my name is Jonas Russo. I'm the founder and executive director of Elevated Expectations, youth development organization located in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Thank you, Jonas. Go ahead, Amber.
Hello, my name is Amber Spells. I am the owner of AMS Consulting Group. AMS stands for Accounting Management and Strategy. I work with small businesses, entrepreneurs, helping them navigate accounting, tax, and business education.
Wonderful. So there you have it. These are the amazing voices that you're going to hear from tonight. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different things in business and also how it overflows into life. So I'm going to start it off with a question for the collective here tonight. And my first question is, because a lot of us, if you don't already work with a team, you're probably building to be able to have a team. So my first question is, how do you resolve internal conflict when you're working with a team? And anyone can, unmute themselves and be first, or I can point you out.
All right, I'll jump in. Internal disputes within the team. I think it's important to know your people, right? So know the people who you're working with, your teammates, so on and so forth. So anybody who's ever been a part of a team, you understand that, like, there are going to be a lot of different points of view, right? I think the biggest point is to respect the other person's perspective, right? To be able, so that, got it. Making sure that the people on your team feel heard, right? I think that's one of the major points of conflict. Doesn't really matter what the conflict is. We could always get over it. I think the biggest thing is making sure that it's always understood that the other people that's involved on your team, that they're heard.
I love that. Does anybody else want to add on to that?
Yeah, I think also it should be addressed immediately. Like, it shouldn't, you notice certain things, you shouldn't let it linger on. Immediately address it so you could work on a resolution.
Great takeaways.
Chantla, I was going to just say, I was going to just say, you should create a culture where people can feel open to communicate and open to share. I think at the onset, when you're building, create that culture where people can feel like they can express themselves and share. Because ultimately, your team is crafting and building something that is supposed to be beautiful for somebody else, right? So you and your team, you guys have to have that dirty work, right? The formation of a diamond, the pressure, all those different things coming together to formulate this beautiful thing that you're creating. So I think you want to create that culture from the onset. Hey, we're all here to create something, and to create something beautiful. It's going to take pressure. It's going to take different ideas, and I think it's just important to create in the beginning.
Absolutely. I agree 100% with what everyone has said. Again, if you're just now joining in, we have an amazing panel of some great voices from so many different spectrums of entrepreneurship, and they're sharing their life experiences, their perspectives, and also their mindset on how they're maintaining and staying successful in business. So we're going to be, just vibing off different questions and giving you our feedback. And also, if the viewers have a question that they would like to address the panel, please put it in the comments and we'll be able to get to that as well. And thank you all for just adding on to how you resolve an internal conflict. And I think that what you all said was very important, because a lot of times people don't feel comfortable enough to speak up, in the place that they work. So they harbor these things, they get resentful, and it also affects the way that they work. Because if you assign them to work with a person that they aren't really comfortable with working with, it can really slow down production and also impact how they are as an employee or also as a CEO. And that's what all of us are. So, it's not just the people that work on your team. It's also, you being the leader and how you're going to respond to conflict internally as well. My next question, though, it kind of goes hand in hand, but I really want to know this because these are some difficult questions and everyone in business is probably going to come across these. My next question is, how do you deal with betrayal in business? And Deshaun, I think I'll just add with you because you start shaking your head.
Let me tell you, when it comes to the restaurant field, I'm gonna just put it like this: you deal with betrayal on a regular basis. So if you don't have an open mind to the fact that betrayal is gonna happen, then you like restaurant business is not for you. That's what I'll put out there right off the bat. I will say this: when you're dealing with betrayal, the biggest thing is, to go back on what you was talking about before about open door policy of people talking about their problems. You're dealing with betrayal. I believe in bringing the actual situation to the person. I believe in bringing the group together collectively, talking about the situation and getting to the bottom of the situation. Because the biggest thing with betrayal, it happens because of either, in my opinion, one or two reasons. Either it's jealousy or envy. And the biggest thing, in my opinion, when you get to the bottom root of what the situation is, sometimes you can fix it. Sometimes you can't.
Thank you. J. Cal, do you have any feedback on that?
I think it's just a mindset. I haven't experienced that just yet. Not just yet, but I haven't. I do have 5 women who are as mentors in my community, and just having the same vision. So I haven't experienced that because we have the same vision, we have the same goals, and they're all in alignment. I don't foresee that happening with my mentors, but it's just your mindset and how, again, like he said, how you think about betrayal. It's gonna come, and you just have to have a mindset. Okay, what am I going to do, or how am I going to handle it when it comes? So I haven't experienced it yet, but I have a pretty positive mindset already. So I'll just take it up in prayer, and me and God will handle it when it comes.
Absolutely. I'm going to take that tip as well. Amber, you've probably dealt with a lot of, I don't want to just say betrayal, but just a lot of stuff that happens because a lot of things that you work in, you work with a lot of different people, some of the same people every year. Some of your clients change, and also staffing could change when you're working in an office with multiple people. How do you deal with it if it's happened to you?
So I defined betrayal a little bit different than just having like a conflict or a level of differences. When I think of betrayal, especially in my line of work, it would be more so a matter of fraud, theft, stealing or reveal or not a disagreement. I'm thinking of like a non-disclosure agreement when you violate a non-disclosure agreement. And usually when those things happen, you immediately sever ties, and then you follow up with some legal proceedings or some type of mediation rather, in the process. But yeah, so those are my levels of when I deal with betrayal, that's usually where it falls.
Thank you so much. So Courtney, I know you have a question that you want to share with the group. I would love for you to be able to share that at this time.
Sure. I sent you two, so I'm not sure if you're referring to the first one or the second one, but I will. I'll start with the second one. The question was, how do you determine the right people who are supposed to be aligned with you in your business and possibly your personal life? For me, I found that my business partners, they've actually become like family because we work so closely. It's a virtual online business that I'm doing, but I work very closely with them. So I was just curious to know how people would, how do you align yourself and how do you determine who are the right people that are supposed to be rocking with you and building with you?
I think for me, like with working with a nonprofit and dealing with people, I think it's about their passion and what they're like driven by, because we are not in a position to be paying like a huge salary. So, and even going back to the last question about betrayal, I haven't experienced anything with the nonprofit on a large scale, but as far as small disappointments, like people referring it to as volunteer work and not want to do certain things because it's volunteer work. So like I pay attention to those red flags and pay attention to people's passion if it matches yours.
And for me, I can piggyback off of that. So the mentors that I chose, it was very important for our vision to be in alignment. It was very important for me to choose women who I knew could be trusted with sensitive information. I've chosen women who were faith in, who just are an encouragement in their day-to-day life. So that was very easy to me. And I'm a faith person, so I went to God and I had a really nice day. So my mentors, they're awesome. I don't have any doubts that they're not going to be able to carry out the vision. And so it was just very important for them to have the same goals, the same background, being trustworthy and things like that.
I love that. So there are two people on this panel that actually they're aligned. They work together, and that's Jonas and Chantla. And I just want to hear, Chantla, you spoke, but Jonas, not to get personal or anything, but how did you decide that you wanted to go into, business with Chantla? How did that work? And how did you feel that she was in aligned with you, and vice versa, Chantla? How did you feel like you were in aligned with Jonas? Because you two have something that no one else on the panel has right now currently, and that's working together.
Yeah, so when we first started, she saw the vision. She saw what we were trying to do in the community, and it was something that she's been passionate about since day one. And she's never swayed from that. Right? It's like a lot of times people, this is something that's, it sound good, right? So when you say, yo, we about to head back to the hood and we about to go help these kids and we about to bring them up. Nah, we need to do that. And that's cool for a second until, you in there doing it and it become real. And the only way with this work you're going to know is when, they got to go through it, right? Like, so she went through it and she's been continuously going through it. And, which is one of the reasons why she rose up in the ranks of the corporation so quickly, because of just how dedicated she was to the mission. So for me, that's really how this whole thing works, right? It's like there's going to be 1,000 people who say, "Oh, I want to do this and I want to do that," right? Because it sounds good. But who's actually doing it? And it becomes simple at that point.
Thank you. And I think you all are just saying a lot of what I believe too, because a lot of people may say, I want to be a part of Chats with Chantla, and then you sit down and you talk, and then it's like, that doesn't align with me. and it's not something that I want to be connected to. So you always have to use what, like J. Kell said, I'm very faithful. So I use discernment. And discernment is different for everybody, but people will show who they are in the more you allow them to talk. And when you talk, you discover. When you listen, you discover a lot about those who potentially you want to partner with, or may be like, I'll move on to the next. I do have another question. Is what problems right now, like currently, as entrepreneurs, are you dealing with, and how are you solving them? How are you resolving them?
I think this back to what we've been talking about, like finding the right people to bring onto the team, people that are committed and dedicated about the work that we do. So I think that's something we're trying to navigate through.
Hey, Chantla, I saw a message today on Instagram, and somebody said something about if you decide to become an entrepreneur, it's a lot of work. Cause some people think when you're an entrepreneur, my ticket is paid. You know what I mean? Everything is all good. Like, a lot of people don't realize that an entrepreneur, you have to do a lot of work. Now, your reward can be really large, but you do have to put a lot of work into it. I think the work ethic today, and I don't think it's a matter of being an entrepreneur, like even in corporate America or whatever, it's just very difficult to find people that want to work. Like, a lot of people just want, they just want to get by without doing work, or, and so it's fundamentally, I think there's the old mentality where people actually used to physically work and earn a pay. That mentality is dead. And as an entrepreneur, I mean, it just takes a lot of work. It might not be all physical work, but it's a lot of work that you have to do, like organizing. You kind of have to be a jack of all trades, so.
Absolutely. Thank you. Does anybody else want to add on to that?
I think just finding out what works for you. So, like, for my specific brand, it's a woman empowerment. So sometimes I get defeated, or my confidence won't be where it needs to be if I don't see people participating, and or if I'm not reaching out to the amount of people that I thought that I could reach out in this moment. But going into it and being new, you just have to see what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and in that, remain consistent. Consistency is the biggest thing whenever you're starting off and walking into entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. I couldn't say that any better. So I'm going to go down to Deshawn. Do you have a question that you want to share with the collective here?
Well, I think you kind of got my question out there, but I have another one. This one is probably going to be so pretty much when you're dealing with a pandemic like this with the COVID-19, I want to go into a little bit of finances. Okay, how are you financially protecting yourselves and your business to make sure that you can win, per se, make it past this or make it through this pandemic? How are you as entrepreneurs balancing your checkbook?
I'm gonna kick out right to your finance. Like, what would you tell us? What would you say to us?
So the question is what people are doing, not necessarily how to manage now, because when you're in it, it's a little bit too late. We're already in the pandemic. It is happening, and now it is you're not in a position to be necessarily proactive if you haven't already stored up your reserve. You're now in critical mass, and it is a matter of survival. And so when survival, you have to figure out what area can you cut costs, what is important to keep, how it's a big old equation that you have to sit there and visit so that you can live beyond, this pandemic for however long it's going to last. Yeah, it's not something that you can necessarily answer for everyone. It's just to know that because we're already in it, and if you did not have your rainy day fund, you're feeling it.
Right. Absolutely. I want to be because Jonas and Conte were creative and they were able to do Giving Tuesday because they have a nonprofit. Do you feel like that got helped you both kind of maintain and sustain for these times that are very challenging?
Well, that's one of the points that I really want to get to is the fact that, like in the nonprofit game, period, like every year is a pandemic, right? Like there's no like real, where you have this set of money and you good and X, Y, and Z. Like you're really like each quarter trying to get, make sure that everybody getting paid and make sure all the bills are being taken care of because the majority of the finances is coming from either grants or donations, right? And a lot of the grants are being, especially now, a lot of them being swooped up by these larger organizations, right? So like they're coming down and getting all that bread, and a lot of that is what's not really being spoken about, right? So like work. Let me pull back because I'm gonna go somewhere else. So I think that it's important that we, that we understand that there's a level of creativity that you have to have, right? Like you have to be flexible, right? You have to understand, okay, this is happening now. This is happening. Right, we here, we in it, right? Just like Amber said. Now, what are we gonna do? Right, we're gonna cry about it, or we're gonna switch it up. So we our whole summer camp got shut down. Everything got shut down, so we had to take everything online, right? So we moved everything online, and we're actually seeing some gains from that because there are people who we can reach, who are no longer just in the Brooklyn community now, right? Like we now have people signed up in Alabama, South Carolina, Connecticut, places I'm like, oh wow, the things that I wouldn't have envisioned, right? So I just think that it becomes important to be innovative, and like there is like no status quo, right? Like you're gonna get, even if you get a certain set of money, right? When a fire comes up, you have to take care of it. You have to deal with it on a case by case basis.
It's a constant pivot game.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I also think that, at least for me, the positive of the pandemic is Chats with Chantla would not be present if it wasn't for COVID. So I'm going to flip it. Like COVID brought a lot of positivity to me because it not only set me down, but it slowed me down. And in that being slowed down, it allowed me to become innovative in a way that I wouldn't have been thinking about if it wasn't for COVID-19. Like, this platform wouldn't be existing. It may have started later, but it might not be, here presently. So yeah, and I think there's other people, on the panel as well that have started some new things or branched out or added on to their existing business to make it better because we were forced to change. We were forced to change to survive. So I don't know if anyone else has any feedback on that as well.
Charlotte, what I was going to say is the word was opportunity. And when you're a small business like us, it's and another I thought about was agility, agile. When you're a smaller business, you're able to make quick moves and pivot. And when you're a larger organization, like I have a business partner who is a general manager with LA Fitness, and LA Fitness is shut down right now here in Pennsylvania. So they're shut down. I'm not shut down. I'm offering services to people still yet. So it is an opportunity. It's all in how you look at it. To Amber's point, you want to plan ahead as much as you can. But when you're small, you can maneuver really fast. And as Jonas said, he used the word creativity. That's another opportunity for you to identify challenges and create solutions for those challenges.
Yeah, I definitely think the key is to make sure that you are not giving up, especially if you already had a viable business. It's just, now you're just in a different time, so you just work accordingly.
Absolutely. And then not only that, when I also think about, expenses, right now you possibly not only did you have to learn to get more money, but you might have been able to save because you're not traveling as much. You're not, having as many lunches that you have to spend out of your reserve and things like that. And, going virtual sometimes is free. Well, most times it's free, so you're also cutting costs in that way. So just thinking of different ways of how you can save money for later to be able to have longevity is also. So I think that's another way of being creative as well to keep those funds in your pocket. But JK, I want to go back to you and see if you have a question that you want to share with the groups.
I do. So, how do you all hold yourself accountable to achieve your goals or to hit your numbers, your monthly numbers, maybe your yearly numbers? How do you hold yourself accountable? What does that look like to you all?
I'm over here shaking my head like I don't. I'm joking. You don't work, you don't eat. That's enough accountability there. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I mean, we're having light, and I feel like if you're in business for yourself, if you don't work, you really don't eat. That's just not saying it to be funny. You don't eat. You don't have shelter. You don't have food. You don't have anything else to take care of your extended family and things like that. So that's a true statement. If you don't work, you don't eat. So yeah, I mean, anyone else can add on to that question that JK asked as well.
I will also add on to this just for a little bit of transparency. COVID has been, there's opportunities with COVID, but there's also the overwhelm because of all the opportunities and changes that have come along with COVID. So for me, I've recently just started working with a therapist so that I can have someone that I can bring all my mind dumps and so that the next day or right after I have some clarity that I can keep pushing forward on all my lists of to-dos that I need to get through, for the month, for the week, for the day, etc. So my therapist has been part of my accountability team, to hold me accountable for my reactions, my emotions, my self-care.
I love that. I love it because so many, well, at least for me, I can only speak for me, how I grew up, you didn't hear the word therapy or counseling. It was like so taboo. It was something that, non-Black people, people of color, that was like their regular. So I grew up around a lot of, in a very predominantly white area. And so that was very common I'm like, you're in therapy? Like, what's wrong with you? Not thinking like, oh, you're trying to resolve something. Oh, your parents are getting divorced. Oh, okay. So you need, like, not really knowing how that's impactful and how you need to get that out and be able to vent. And not only that, I just think like what JK said, like just having other people on your team. Like when you have a mentor, or you have a coach, or you have, somebody that is there for you, that's going to be like, okay, you wrote this down, you spoke it, but what are you doing in regards to actions to make sure that they play out? And so, it could be someone on your team, or it could be somebody that you're actually, an expert that you're seeking out to, help you stay accountable. I just think the right people in your right circle, whether it's a dot, if it's just one person, is there to help you, stay accountable.
We used to have weekly meetings. We haven't done it in a couple of weeks because our team has gotten a little smaller, but that really helped because we were able to talk about tasks and things that needed to get done, and then meet again the next week to see where we were at with the to-do list.
Absolutely. So I want to shout out some people that are watching. Thank you, Marcy, Lisa, and all the rest that are watching Chats with Chantla. This is our first time having a panel. So we have a panel of amazing voices and just a vast range of entrepreneurs that are on the panel today that are sharing their mindset and their perspective on a array of different questions that we're asking. So if you have a question that you want someone on the panel to answer, please put it in the comment section and we'll also address that. So we're going to keep this conversation moving. And I want to jump down to Jonas and see if you have a question that you want to ask the group and see how we could, answer that from our mindset, life experiences, and perspectives.
No, I didn't have a question, but I'll come up with one. So I don't know. I really didn't have a question. I was actually thinking about answering the one that just came.
You can answer that. You can definitely answer it. We still want to definitely hear your feedback on that question.
No, I mean for me, like everything's my fault. Like so, like there's no like finger pointing. I can't like say, oh well, you didn't do this. It's like, all right, cool. Well, I didn't start it either. So like understanding that, and that everything's your fault, and being in the space that I'm in right now is, if I don't do what I need to do, then there's a child who's not going to receive, math tutoring, who's not going to receive ELA tutoring, who's not going to be able to do dance and so on and so forth, right? So like that gets me up on its own, right? Like a dollar amount can't do that for me, can't get me out the bed to force me to do that. Knowing that there are people who rely on me, right, is the major thing that gets me up to do it. That's one of the reasons why I got into doing things for myself, because I always understood, like, I don't care if I'm getting paid $200,000. If I don't want to get up to do it, I'm not doing it, right? So, I just understood that about myself from a while. So, like, having that purpose and being driven through that, to me, is the thing that, ensures that I hold myself accountable.
I love that, because it makes me think of the things that we needed as a child or as a young person that wasn't present, and we wish that it was. So when Jonas was saying that, I was thinking of, all the things that I was like, I wish when I was in junior high and high school, I used to wish a lot, and a lot of things that I needed, they didn't exist. And so I had to provide it to myself or go without it. So I love the fact that you think about it's bigger than me. That's basically, I felt like what you were saying, like this is much more impactful than just me. It doesn't start with me and it doesn't end with me. But not a lot of people think that way. A lot of people get into entrepreneurship for what I say the backwards recipe. They want the money, they do something that they're okay at and something that they, sort of like, instead of loving what they do it if they were getting paid or not. And it's something that they, they're good at. So not everybody has that formula. And that's what makes me feel like a lot of people are selfish. They're doing it for all the wrong reasons.
Well, I feel like a lot of people is what has been taught to them, right? So it's what's been like passed down. Well, this is what you should do, right? Like think about the society that we live in, right? Like, all right, you got your degree. How much are you going to make with that degree that you have, right? When you go to college, make sure you go to college for something that pays well, and you're sitting there at a job that pays well that you don't love doing. To me, like that's the most backwards thing ever. If I got to sit somewhere for a minute with people, like one, I got to like the people I'm around, right? If I don't like you, I can't rock with you, right? Like if I don't like you, this is not going to happen, because it's always going to be like super tense. Let me bring it back. Not even so much like, I got to respect you, right? Like if I don't respect, you understand what you got going on, then we can't move in the same manners, because I cannot like you, but you can have some thoughts, ideas, and opinions that can really push things forward. And hey, I'm with that. So for me, like that's really what it's about. It's about like what's the word? Re-engineering, right? The mindset, right? Like so even now with the kids, it's like I hear the college thing, and they like even we're pumping that too. Hey, you need to go to school, this and the third. However, if you're nice on the Instagram and you got 176,000 followers, that might be something, a route that you want to go and rock with for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And if it does, well, it does. And if it doesn't, then you go to college after that, or whatever the case may be. Right? I just think that forcing like this one size fits all thing, it doesn't really like, it doesn't serve us well. So
I agree with you on this. That's 100. What you just said. I mean, it's almost like this whole idea of the American dream. It's like everybody, you got to go to school, go to college, and find this and find that. It's like I've been there, I've done that. I went to school, got my undergraduate, my MBA, I sold pharmaceuticals, wore a suit and tie, and I did the whole thing, company car, expense account. I mean, I did all that, and it was cool, but it just got to a certain point. And Sean, you mentioned it. Is this really what I love to do? And it's like, to me, I appreciate the people that came before me that worked 40 years and they hated it, but they just did it. I appreciate that they did that. They might have had to do that, but you thinking generationally, we can do different. Like we have this technology that we're using right now. And Jonas just mentioned Instagram. If you can understand how to manipulate some of the systems that are in place, we can come from very poor families and we can build wealth, generational wealth for generations by just understanding how to use this technology. I think that's very important, what you just said, Jonas.
Absolutely. And thank you all for watching. Thank you, Montel. Thank you, Sharice. We have a question. And the question is from Miss McNeil. And she wanted to know, What is one lesson you learned on your entrepreneurial journey that you can share with new entrepreneurs?
God. God, Jesus. You are going to learn the Bible all day long. Listen, that is the one thing you're going to learn in this journey. And another thing, you are going to see the goods, the bads, the ugly, and the blessings. You are going to see it all. But if you're ready to accept all of that, and as long as you have your Bible, you can go to war. That's all I can tell you.
I mean, you're gonna learn who you are. You're gonna learn who you are. Like a lot of people don't want to know who they are. They're afraid to find out who they are, but you're gonna find out who you are. You're gonna find out what you made of. You know, you sink or you swim.
I think also, just to piggyback a little bit off of what Courtney said, in learning who you are, knowing your weaknesses and when it's time to outsource. Because I've been trying to write a grant for about 6 years. So I think that's an important thing.
The only yeah, so what I have to offer to that is that don't have the expectation that your model is going to be perfect right off the bat. In entrepreneurship, your business model, just like your business plan, etc., is a living, breathing exercise document just as much as you are. So once you go to market, whatever it is that you're presenting is a service, it is a product, whatever it is, understand that is going to change and be okay with it changing, because the people that you are out there servicing is going to tell you that it needs to change. So
I love that. Thank you. I would also want to add on to it, saying to any new entrepreneurs, when you get your no's, don't quit. A no does not mean stop. A no doesn't mean that you have to abandon your dream. A no could be if you want to break it down, it could mean new opportunity, thinking of another option. But that no does not mean that you stop and nobody believes in you. It means that you just have to try again. Like, no and failure is a part of what I feel the road of success. It comes, with it. And that makes you go back to the table and do it again. Like, everything doesn't happen on the first time, like Amber said. So your model may not work for, the time when you got it maybe 5 years ago, and now you're working on it now because you were disobedient, and now you got to upgrade it. And be okay with upgrading, be okay with adapting, be okay with changing. Don't allow a no to completely stop you. So once you hit a wall, sometimes you got to climb over it, and sometimes you got to kick right through it. So I would say don't allow the potholes and the obstacles and the hurdles that you have to jump through. And
or call somebody in and be like, hey, is this a
right.
wall that I'm looking at?
Right. Absolutely. Like Chantla said, like, sometimes you got to outsource it because you get exhausted trying to come up with new ideas all the time. That's why I think that, you don't need to do it by yourself. It's good to have a team of people that align with you, because they're going to pour into you, because you can learn how to subtract from yourself and not realize you're doing it. And the next thing you know, you abandon your whole vision and your whole dream. And then you don't realize it goes back to like what Jonah said. It's not even about you. Like, the gifts that you're offering through your entrepreneurship and your new business really don't have anything to do with you. And that is a great segue that I want to go into and ask is, what you all do. Jonas kind of already gave us a little glimpse, but what does your business solve? Like, what is it that what problems do your business solve?
All right. For us, we're dealing with inequality, right? Like, we're dealing with poverty. We're dealing with just having equitable resources, right? Like, this is low key basic stuff, right? Like, it's like, hey, we want the same swings that they got over there, right? We're not saying we want better swings. We're not saying that we want the highest of it. We're saying that they got math teachers over there that have gone to school for this, right? And they get certain amount of tutoring and after school programming and so on and so forth. How come my kids don't have those same opportunities? period, right? So that's what we're saying. We're saying we're seeing that there's a gap there, and we're filling that gap of equitable resources.
And not only that they are having the opportunities, that they even know what opportunities there are. So that goes into like the non-traditional sports. Like some kids don't even know there's a such thing as archery or fencing, so we want to be able to bring those type of non-traditional resources into those communities so everybody has, like he said, equal opportunity and exposure.
Absolutely. Anybody else want to share what problems they solve in the business that they do?
Sure, I'll share.
Go ahead, Courtney. I'm sorry.
Okay. I was going to ask, has anybody heard of COVID-19 lately? My business actually addresses better health, wellness. Have you heard about people who are carrying more weight that come in contact with COVID-19? Sometimes it doesn't work out well, unfortunately. We're helping people to get healthy and get well.
My business solves appetites. I will say this, on another note, you have to love what you do. And I truly believe that I'm reaching people through their appetite, if that makes sense. Because when you see that person smile on the other end, kind of like the fat kid that's at camp who had like that cupcake that you gave him, he's like, I mean, for me, it's like that's my moment that I have to share with the customer. Because, at that moment that they're happy to enjoying that meal, and they're like, man, this brings me back memory lane, or this might be the best thing I ever had. For me, that's the enjoyment, that's the excitement I get because, I love what I do. And my staff that I have, they love cooking as well. And it's an art, because, everybody has to entrust or trust their plates. I mean, I hate to say it, but people eat with their eyes. So when they look at something, if it's not appealing, then the first thing they're going to tell you is, I ain't eating that. So, it starts from the appealing, then it starts from there when they break it in, that mac and cheese, and they're like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, you're the real deal. So it's all of that for me. So for me, it's an exciting roller coaster. I get it all the way through. So I get to see from start to the shirt pop out and they walk my restaurant full. So
Absolutely. Thank you.
If I may, not necessarily addressing, what it is that I saw, but there's, at least because of the panel that you have, Chantla, if I may, I think it is imperative to mention that not every entrepreneur product or service or something has to be necessarily a passion project, but I think every entrepreneur solves some problem. And that could very well be the very motivation that you have is to solve a problem. So like, even when I think of something as simple as, or silly that burns my grits, as someone usually says to me, it's like the Snuggie. The Snuggie is not necessarily out there to, it's not groundbreaking, it's not, but it has solved a problem for those who likes to, sit on the couch, eat their snacks, and don't want to move the blanket because they're cozy. So now you got this Snuggie. I mean, I'm being a little bit funny here, but that I just want to put it out there that you can very well still be successful and it not be considered, the back way to entrepreneurship, because all you're doing is presenting a solution for something big, little, small, indifferent, etc. But all entrepreneurs in of themselves are solving some type of problem.
I agree. I know that I'm a part of JKL's She Is Me group, and I look forward to it because the mentors will put some great on time message that I need. And also, it reminds me that the way that I may be feeling, I'm not alone. A lot of times when you're feeling certain things, you feel like you're the only one like that, and it causes you to isolate yourself instead of actually reaching out. And so it's been very therapeutic and encouraging to me. And also it allows me to feel very empowered. That I see a collective of women and strong women that have a past that they're restoring so many relationships, not just with other people, but with themselves. Like they're choosing that, to take care of themselves first. So, I just want to shout out JKL for doing that and stepping out, and providing that resource that's really been beneficial for me.
Thank you. Yeah, transparency is definitely important, especially in the Black community. We are taught to keep everything on the hush. And I feel like if we're not being transparent with our stories, how are we going to reach the people that we need to reach? So we need to be able to use ourselves and our own experiences and be like, look, sis, I was there and now I'm here. So just because you're there, that's not the end. You can overcome this and you will overcome this. So in my group, I do ask for my mentors to be as transparent as they can, because I think it's very important for the kind of work that we're doing.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. This is a new thing that Chats with Chantla is doing. So it's going to be, I just can't wait to do it. Jonas, I'm so glad you're here tonight, because you're such a vibe. You're really just a vibe. So I really appreciate you joining the panel tonight. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. So that was just a quick commercial on who's going to be up on Chats with Chantla this coming Monday, December 28th, and that's Jeffrey Jenkins, also known as Black Tortoise. And he is a local artist. So he's a painter, drawer, and visual artist. And it's amazing because it makes me think of how old I am, because I remember him being a tiny, tiny child. And now, he's collaborating with me. So I'm really happy. And so Jeffrey will be on Chats with Chantla next week, and we'll hear his story into entrepreneurship. So I want to give anyone else the opportunity, if you have a question that you would like to ask the panel, and present it to us now, and we can, give our feedback.
I have a question. So in the world of automation, readily available information, the lack of delayed gratification, how are you managing customer client expectation of now and be available now?
Wow, that's a loaded question. So I'll start. What I found myself doing is I think I post more on social media platforms than I've ever done before. And it's because I think people are in front of their computers more. They're engaging more in social media at different times because they can't get outside. So it's now strategically putting, like, what does it look like when I'm doing it? Is it vibrant colors? What's the message? And not a lot of times it's like very short messages so that they want to come back and get more. So maybe what I may have done in 10 minutes, I'm doing in 5. And maybe what I would have did with one post, every other day, it's several posts a day. And it's because I want to keep them thinking about me being at the top of their mind, at the tip of their tongue. So they want to stay engaged, because I think a lot of people, one, are getting burnt out from visual things, especially virtual things, I should say. But so I'm trying to stimulate and keep them wanting to stay a part of the growing platform of Chats with Chantla in ways that, are different than what I may have approached if it wasn't COVID-19 right now.
For us, things have definitely switched to everything is like online. So like I used to create the flyers or print up the flyers, go hand out the flyers. Now it's like, all right, I go to Canva, I drop and drag and do all that, resize, and then send it out. And for me, it feel a little different because like I'm a, like let's say textile, right? Like I need to touch, right? Like, so like it feel like a little corny, like, all right, sent that out, like, all right, now what, right? But I think the biggest part of engaging with any clientele is being like authentic, right? So when you come to elevate expectations, this is what you're going to get, right? Like I'm not trying to act like I am, like we are the Khan Academy or that we're not any of that. We are who we are, right? And like for those who that doesn't work for, I understand it, I respect it, but I know that there's a whole group that it does work for. So for me, it's just being just identifying the group that it does work for and working with them and building on genuine relationships.
Absolutely.
I will definitely say on her question that she asked, for my field, it is a supply and demand. All restaurants right now are we're kind of taking a step back, if that makes sense. I know you've probably went out and you see the full menu go from being full to a half a size cheat. And that's really because the market is being squeezed. And when I say this is the time that you can say the devil's at his busiest, prices are skyrocketing. Small restaurants, we got to kind of just duck and dodge and hope that we can get the same product that we were once selling. I myself, I'll tell you about our restaurant being authentic, like Jonas said. We're strong on keeping our product the same, and I could tell you that our customer and my customer fee base that comes back, they look for the same product. So the thing is, when we don't have it, when I'm out of stock or I don't have it per se, I had a guest ask me, why is that? You could always go somewhere else. The biggest thing to me was the authentic factor because that's what we're known for. I'm a soul food restaurant. I'm not an Italian restaurant. I'm not a, West Indian restaurant. I'm a soul food restaurant. So being authentic is where it put me in a state of mind to where, hey, I'm only going to focus on what I can get and what I can pump out, what I can sell. I didn't want to go elsewhere or look this way to kind of fit the demands of what the customer needed. I wanted to fit the demands of what my vision and what my company, what I was all about. So to answer that question in the restaurant field, we all just have dialed down our menu, and we're just trying to balance on an everyday basis. Because with selling food, it's a first come, first serve, and it's what you may want.
Thank you, Deshaun. Courtney, do you have something? Did you want to add to?
No, nope.
All right. So I want to also give the opportunity to, if anyone has another question, because we're going to be wrapping up shortly, they could present it to the group as well.
I have a quick question. One thing that I kind of struggle with is my organization. So I hear that most entrepreneurs have like daily rituals, and I wanted to know if you guys had any daily rituals and if you'd like to share them.
I actually
For me,
do.
it's prayer.
Go ahead, Big
I pray. Okay. For me, it's prayer. I start my day off with prayer. I won't get out of the bed. I won't send a text before I pray. And if I do, I feel so off. If I pick my phone up before I pray, I feel off. And I do a lot of journaling. So prayer and journaling has helped me a lot in this process.
And I was going to just piggyback off kind of what Amber had said maybe a few questions ago, the self-care. And that ties into the question that I had as well, is managing your time and your family. I integrate a lot of things that I do with my little girl. Like she goes to work and I got laid off of work. So, and my daughter, she got laid off of daycare. So it's me and her. She's only 3. So everything we do it together. We have time. We do our push-ups. We go for a walk when it's not like 0 degrees outside. And just having a nice little routine for her and for me, that kind of works.
My routine is audiobooks. So I do audibles every day. So while I'm getting ready, rather than listening to music, I'm listening to an audible until I get out the shower and head out the house. And then it's all, whatever else noise I have for the day. But I found that audibles are great for me to take in, and it helps lift up my spirits. It, I don't know, it just does a lot.
I'm gonna add to that, Janice, and then I'll let you go. Is that I do a lot of things the night before. Like I have 3 different planners. It's probably extreme, but I have 3 different planners, and I write the things down that I need to do. And I used to do it for the week, but then it would become very overwhelming to me. So I just do it for the day. So I planned the night before, just like how when I was in school, I would get my clothes out the night before, iron them, because it was like I wanted to take a little extra time to sleep in. But now mine is because I get up at 5 o'clock, between 5 and 5:15 every day. And I don't want to be tempted to do that first instead of seeking like prayer or thanking God for waking me up this morning. So I do some of the things the night. I do it intentionally the night before because it's quiet. It's like quiet time in my house, and that's when I think my brain works the best. And then I become very creative in the morning. So I do everything before bed so I can do like a mental dump. And then, in the morning, it allows me to go in my creative space and get a lot of the things done and planning because I'm very structured. I'm an extremely structured person. So I'm not very spontaneous. So when things happen that I wasn't like planning on doing, my response sometimes becomes very anxious. It's because I'm like, oh, that wasn't in a planner. So I'm learning to be better, with 2021, definitely going to be better. Like, I need people to challenge me to be like, Chantla, just because you didn't write down doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And so, but yeah, I plan. I'm a huge planner. That works for me. Yeah.
Well, I'm similar in that regard, but like I kind of got programmed into the planning, right? So I taught for 3 years, and then these teachers they went to Harvard and Yale and Princeton and Duke, right? So they came to me and they said, "Hey, bro, you need this like planner thing." Like she was walking around with it and she had it, and it worked for me. Like it's Monday, Tuesday. I'm like, oh, so I'm getting stuff done, right? But see, like because that book is closed, I'd always toss it. Look, I got one of those too, right? These I always toss, but it's like they call a folio. I don't know what they call it, but it had like a clear, like the face of it was clear, kind of like the whatever. So whenever I pick it up, I can see, oh snap, I got this to do, I got that to do. But I'm kind of like the opposite. I'm a very spontaneous person. So although the Sunday, what gets me going is like vacuuming, washing the dishes. Like that's my time to like think. Like some people like they pray and all that.
You want to come to my house?
Yeah. I got you. I got the dishes. Like that's my time. Like the dishes is my time. Like I get in my that's when I get in my I'm in my head the most. Right? Is with the throwing it. And so usually the Sunday I plan out from Monday to Sunday, but I'm totally okay scrapping it, to be honest with you. Like that's my biggest thing. Like, hold on, oh, I'm supposed to do this now. We got this coming up. All right, cool, let's do it, right? Because I understand like that's how life works, right? Like life works in the now, and like we can write everything we want to write down, and that's all good, right? And none of that can apply tomorrow. Right, like everything that you go down cannot apply. So for me, a lot of it is planning it out because that's the other part. Because I used to write down everything, right? So it used to be like 76 things that's happening on Monday, 64 things and because I only got 23 of those things done each day, I start feeling like, man, I'm coming up short. So what I really started doing is the top 3 things. What are the 3 most important things? Knock those 3 things out and put those 3 things up there and then move forward, because if not, you kind of get too but like I found the to-do list, like you can get a lot less done with the to-do list if you don't structure it properly. So
he also has a huge dry erase board that he puts everything out.
Sounds like my husband. Yeah, I see that. Sometimes I'll purposely like erase something and just to be smart, like a little like a brat, you know. So I don't have the dry erase board, but I do the priority, Jonas. I do things by priority because and I do the thing that I don't, the least likely like thing I have to do. I do that first because if I don't do it first, then it doesn't get done. Like I dread it. Like I'll keep dreading it. So I really procrastinate. So I'm like, let me get that out first because then I feel better about it. So I think I also learned that from The Slight Edge, Atomic Habits, or something like a book I read, like to do what you dislike the most first, because then it makes me feel excited and looking forward to the other things on my list to do that kind of bring me joy. But I do have, I know Deshaun, you have a question, but we do have a question from the audience, and I want to make sure that I get it from our viewer. Tiana Tracy wants to know, how do you manage the conversations with those who think you should charge them less or request discounts?
Oh, they ain't your client.
I didn't even get it. They ain't your people, right? Right.
I'm so sorry. I didn't want to jump in there, but I've been there. I've done that, and you end up hating yourself. You know, maybe not hating. That might be a little bit, you know, harsh, but you know, you definitely don't feel good about the value that has been placed on what it is that you've just provided. So, and it just creates a habit. If you continue to allow this to happen, your prices are your prices for a reason. And discounts are there whenever they are applicable to the masses and when it serves your business. Outside of that, I don't do the haggling of pricing. They are not your client or your customer. Sorry, go on.
Amen on that. I'm not even going to try to debate that because I feel like that's the same thing. Like your business or you as a brand may be an acquired taste, and normally acquired taste is not your average price. It's top shelf. So, and I'm good with that. I'm totally good with what Amber said. It's not always because, you know, I know Tiana is an entrepreneur and she does amazing work and it's very tedious at times. And, you know, I feel like to put it, and, you know, you might have a small place. She does greenery and she does really, it's like art. To be able to spend like an hour to 2 hours on something that someone thought it was only 15 minutes, what people have to understand, you're paying for my time. Not only my skill, but my time, you know, and if you don't want to pay for it, then it's fine. You know, that's why when you go to Target and you go to Walmart, they have the brand one, and then they have their brand. So you choose the lesser of that. It may not be the same quality, but you can go ahead and do whatever. You can stay in your lane and there will be somebody who wants my prices.
You know, I will say another thing to that, and this is just based off of my own experiences through entrepreneurship, not from dealing with my own clients. If this continues to come up, then you have to also look at your messaging, because it is very possible that what you are putting out there is not fully understood. The value is not fully understood. So, I would recommend working with someone who can help you bring that value, that story to light, so that you are speaking to the right people. Because, you know, especially like, for instance, my line of work, people think accountant and immediately it's like, oh, you can do my taxes. Oh, you know, you can do bookkeeping. And yes, I can. And I have done that because it's been my low hanging fruit, but it's really not what it is that I do. I take a much more holistic approach, which means it's a whole different client, which also means that I need to present myself in a much different way. So when a person comes and say, oh, so you can do my taxes? No, not if that's all you're looking for, and then start the conversation somewhere,
Well, Tiana says, thank you. Thank you so much, Tiana, for that question. Also, Jonas, we had Shaniqua who's watching. Thank you for joining. She said she's definitely going to start doing the top 3 things in her day. So she wanted to thank you for that as well. So thank you all for watching Chats with Chantla. This is a new platform that we're going to be doing. Not every Monday is going to be just with one entrepreneur. It's going to be a panel of voices, and we started that today, December 21st. So it's just a new feature for 2021, and we're just getting some feedback on the mindset and perspective, and just experience from different entrepreneurs that we're giving you some great takeaways. I hope you're like taking notes from a lot of the information that the heavy hitters are sharing with us tonight. So Deshaun, I'm going to allow you to provide us with your final question so that we can give you some feedback on what you want to ask us as well.
This is a question for everybody. I know everybody has different businesses, but I want to point out that the panel, I want to say how appreciative it is to be able to mentor other entrepreneurs that are coming into the field and, need some guidance. But this question is more on I'm just going to get right into it. Us being African-American entrepreneurs, okay, have you guys experienced racial profiling? Whether it's on your business, whether it's on your platform, like as far as like, hey, I don't want to use you, or should I use you, or what type of company you are. Connor, let me put it this way. Have they gave you a certain look or fond based off of your skin? If I'm asking that question correctly, I'll let the floor go.
I'll start. This is actually, for me, this is my second health and wellness company that I've created. And actually the first one, I intentionally built my team with people that don't look like me, people that still align with my vision and my mission, my heart and my mind, but don't look like me, to kind of prepare myself for that. And with Courtney Wellness Companion, I kind of did the same thing. Even more so, we are a very international company. We have people on my team that from 3 different continents. So to me, I kind of took the approach, build my team with a multicultural type of team, so that no matter where I go, there's going to be representation on my team that's going to represent somebody that looks like them. I don't know, that probably doesn't answer your question, but that's kind of how I build it.
Oh, you're close to it, Courtney. You're close to
it. If nobody else, I'll go. So the word that comes to mind is exploited for being African American, and for me, I will say that I have been. I have exploited myself by through self-doubt that I cannot play in this field because there's not many like me who are doing what it is that I'm doing. I have been exploited from others who look just like me by asking for hookups, handouts, discounts. And I've been exploited by others that are looking for, for someone who is African American to be their token, or to, be part of their team because they need diversity. So. And in the overall is, how do you counter this? And I think that for myself, the way that I have countered and continue to counter this is by, most importantly, not exploiting myself, realizing that, I belong here. Although I may very well be behind the curve as far as, my realm of network, capital, the same thing that most minority entrepreneurs go through, but I belong here. I'm smart, I'm capable, I'm beautiful, all that. But but to stop stop exploiting myself through self-doubt, and then the rest of it becomes whatever. It's okay. No, I can't give you a discount. Absolutely no, I can't be part of your team unless it aligns with, back to what Courtney's question was. Are you giving back to me? Am I only here to serve you? If I'm only here to serve you, this is not a mutual partnership. Like, there's no mutual agreement So therefore I can't do it. So part of being, not exploiting myself is also being comfortable with saying no.
I also want to add is, yes, I mean, I'm just being honest. There's everyone except for Shantae and Jonas. We come from the same area, and it's Southwest Pennsylvania, and there is a lot of exploitation, a lot of oppression. There wasn't a lot of equality and equity for people of color, and we're fighting for that. But one of the reasons why Chats with Chantla exists is because there's not really platforms for small business owners who are Black and brown people. Like, we have to do, in my experience, I've always had to do 120% more to get just, looked at, not even considered, just the look, so yeah, but what I will say is growing up in Southwest PA has taught me something. And I always say it's taught me to be bilingual and have multiple manners, because, I'm not growing up with a lot of diversity and growing up with predominantly white people. It teaches you a way, which is very unfortunate, that we have to blend. And I've had to blend certain times, and I blended enough to get that seat. And then, that's just like, one day coming in and I got straight hair from them extensions. The next day I'm coming in and I have some Afro puffs. Like, I had to do what I had to do to get there. But, now, like, coming to New York City and being exposed to where personal development in my life has taught me, being in New York City, is that to be proud of who I am, not to dummy down who I am. And not, if I would have not left Southwest PA, I don't believe that I would have, it was a part of my everyday life. It was a part of me adapting to survive so that I could get a job that could pay and, take care of my 3 kids. And coming to New York City and seeing people that look like you making decisions and having businesses and being true hustlers of their passion, it made me feel very confident as a Black woman that I was able and capable to be a Black woman and succeed and not have to kind of convert to something else to be accepted. And I'm very grateful for that. So yeah, I think most people of color would say, yeah, I've experienced that.
And even for myself relocating to a predominantly Black area, it's like, at first it's a culture shock, but it's like seeing people that look like you and that are doing the thing. It's like, we are really dope. Like, there is no one like us. Like, we're that dope. And it had opened up my eyes, and it made me, I guess you could say, more bold in a way, because it's like they look just like me and they're doing it. If they can do it, I can do it. And that's just the mindset that I have. Like, we as Black people, there's nothing like us. There's nothing like us.
I think that's part of the lesson we're trying to teach, like, the kids that we work with, especially coming out of Brownsville, and they face so much already. And then once they leave that community, and they're going to be discriminated against, they're going to be judged for the color of their skin. And we're trying to preach that message. Like Amber said, I am enough. You are enough. You're capable. You can accomplish anything you want to accomplish. And that goes into the, like, our campaign that we have, that we're trying to promote, that elevate above fear. Like, elevate above your personal fears, your personal doubts. You're greater than that. And
no, that's a fact, right? And that's one of the biggest reasons why, like, for me, no matter which room I walk into, I'm going to be me, right? Like, you're not going to take me like, all right, you're going to small me. Listen, that we're not going to do, right? What we are going to do is we're going to run it. This is how we're going to run it, or we're not going to run it together at all, right? And I think that I had the kids tell me this because I taught for 3 years. They said, Mr. Russo, it's amazing. Like you're a teacher. Like, how did you become a teacher? Right? Like, and I know what he was saying, right? Because he's like, yo, son, how you speak like that, and you up here teaching me about history, right? It's because we can do that. You understand? But I know that you've never seen it, right? And even in, like, the past, like, I ain't want to teach nobody, right? Like, that just kind of like happened, type of a deal. And I think the more representation that we can get, right, the more that we can go into our communities, or the more that we can go into other communities and show, like, listen, you know, hey, I have this show, Chats with Chantla, or I'm a chef, right? Like I was cooking something the other night, Deshaun. I'm gonna keep it a man with you. I was cooking something, and like after I was done, I was really like wondering like if, you know, they would like it. And I was like, yo, you really gotta be like a you gotta be like a sensitive person, right? Like, cause if you cook and if you don't like my food, like we gotta like, hold on, you know, everybody else. So you really gotta love that, right? Like you gotta love what it is you do. You gotta have people around you who is able to like see like, oh, Deshaun loves to cook. I love to cook too. So like I can actually do that. And a lot of times like we don't have that representation. I never had a black teacher growing up, right? Like not one of my teachers in college, there was like one or two, right? So let me not lie about that. But like overall, I never really had like that representation of, oh, you can do this. And that's why with Elevate Expectations, the goal is to show you, hey, you can do this, right? Like we went on horses, right? Like you can go and be an equestrian, or you can shoot this bow and arrow, whatever the case may be. And I think like with this, it shows it. To get to your question, we've definitely dealt with it just in the nonprofit game as a whole, right? There are funds that's going out to do the exact same work that we do, right? And it's going out to these organizations that is not doing the work with our children, right? They're taking the money and they're taking one person and they say, hey, come here, you could teach them this, this, and this. And it's like, that doesn't work, right? Like we have black teachers, we have black coaches, right? Like so that the archery instructor, the fencing, they're both black men. So now the kids are, hold on, wait a minute. I didn't know, like, yeah, I taught at Columbia University. Oh, why are they, hold on, they got black people. Like, now we're sparking conversations. Now we're sparking, hold on, wait a minute. I might be able to do this, right? But when you're surrounded in an area where you can't do certain things, right, or you're put in your school, and this one talk about equitable, right? They're saying, okay, well, we have Canva in the school. Canva's not doing anything with the kids. The kids are sitting there all day, right? They're writing stuff down. So, like for me, it gets very frustrating. But Canva's always going to get those federal dollars. That money has been allocated towards them. They sat down and worked certain things out, right? So my thing is, I'm not going to get Canva bread. Yeah, I got that. Now I have to circumvent that and find another way to go about doing that. I'm off this.
I want to definitely, Shauna, shout out to Brooklyn Cats in the building, because I was born and raised from Brooklyn as well. A lot of people don't know that, East New York. And I came out here to this area in southwestern PA, and I wanted to motivate people in any way that I can. And by opening the restaurant where I opened that in Uniontown Mall, I was the first African-American restaurant inside of the mall. And when I say the shock of the culture, just people recognizing and saying, wow, wait, young man opening up a restaurant, African-Americanly owned, they're not used to that out here. So the fact that all of us on this panel could bring something to an area or a specific town is such a blessing itself. And I couldn't be more thankful just hearing from all of you entrepreneurs. I definitely want to give a shout out to my New Yorkers and everybody else in South.
Absolutely. I mean, I love being who I am. It's like you said, Amber, I've realized I am enough. Even though I knew that internally, I wasn't playing it out externally. I was dumbing it down a lot of times. It not only because of elevated, like you said, like elevating over your fears. I was also elevating over the fears that were taught to me from mothers, aunts, grandmas, not that they were doing it intentionally, but there are fears that get passed down to you that when you try to step out of it, they're like kind of sometimes, who do you think you are? It was never done. Like she didn't do it. So what makes you think you can do it? So sometimes you gotta just being truthful. It could be in your own household, in your four walls, that are the biggest things that keep you boxed in, because those people who should be loving you and pushing you are also those ones who are planting fears, planting anxieties, planting doubt, and things like that you have to fight against, not only the world, but the world that you live within that space. So there's a lot that we have to overcome as Black people. And I just feel like, one of the superpowers of being a Black person is perseverance, resiliency, and we have the ability to create when we have nothing. And I think sometimes people get angry with us because we will do more with less. And I'm grateful for, Jonas, you saying like I was a teacher, other students may have never seen it. Deshaun, you're a chef. Amber, you're working in finances and making people understand their taxes in ways that were hidden from us. Like, we don't know that we can get these great benefits. Courtney, you literally are a walking testimony of your transformation in regards to being healthier. Jaquel, you are inspiring women in ways that other women, that besides gossiping, because we can gossip as women. Now you're doing it in a way like, I don't want that, but I want this, and it empowers you. And Shantae, you literally are showing young girls that I can be the president, I can be the founder, I can be the creator of things. And that's where I think it's so amazing, because we didn't come up with something that we didn't need ourselves first. Like, we were our first subjects of that change that we wanted, and we projected it out to other people, and it's benefiting other people. And I want to say that I'm just extremely grateful for everything that's happened today, everything that we were able to share on this panel, everything that we've come together as collective. I feel extremely strong, encouraged, empowered, to be able to build, connect, and collaborate with you all. Because this only happened because y'all said yes. It wasn't like I was like, yo, I'm going to cash out you some money. It was like, I asked you and you literally said yes. And because of that, yes, this collaboration happened. So y'all who are watching and you guys who are viewing, this literally happened because they said yes. You got this free acknowledgement, all these takeaways, all this life experience, all this business advice for free. This is why I put in the comments why you need to support all of them, why you need to make sure you're connecting with Jaquel. Here's her Instagram and her social media connection on how to connect and support with her. Here's Courtney's information. You want to make sure you're connecting with him. You want to make sure you're connecting with Amber, Deshaun, and also Jonas and Shantae. You want to make sure not only did you get something from us, but you're also putting something back into us, because it takes a whole tribe. Like, remember when they used to say it takes a village? That doesn't change because you become an adult. You still need a village of support to keep you maintaining. So I not only want you guys to continue to watch Chats with Chantla, but I want you to do your part with connecting. You heard Jonas and Shantae said that now they have people that they're serving in Alabama and different states. It's no longer just Brownsville, New York. It's no longer just there. Everything that we do, we're able to touch people, but we need your help. So that could come in sharing this episode, liking it, commenting with encouraging words. And also, I'm just asking, put your dollars. Like, y'all don't have a problem going to Target, Walmart, every other thing. Like, put your dollars into local artists and small business owners, especially the ones that look like you. Challenge yourself to do better. If you haven't did it, 2020 is coming to an end. Start fresh for 2021. But you could always start today. It doesn't have to be with the New Year's resolution. It could always start just right now and today. So I thank you, Shantae. I thank you, Jaquel. I thank you, Courtney, Deshaun, Jonas, and Amber, for being a part of this amazing, epic episode of Chats with Chantla. It would not be what it was if it wasn't for all of you saying yes. So I'm tremendously grateful and honored to share this platform with you all. So again, thank you all for tuning in and watching another episode of Chats with Chantla. I will see you next week, Monday at 7 p.m. with our featured entrepreneur, Black Tortoise. Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a wonderful evening.